What's going on, everyone? Nick Daniels here, coming at you live, man, yet again. Today we're actually at an old fort, but we're currently just sitting inside one of the old structures. We're just waiting for some people to head out, and we're gonna walk up along the I don't know what the fuck you call them. You can't even probably see that because the lighting, but I'll have it auto adjust here hopefully when we get out, or we'll have to do. I don't know, we'll have to cut it. When I get another date fail for you, I just find that you guys find these quite interesting. They do quite well for some reason. Like the views are always quite solid. I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about this one, so if I have, then you won't be seeing this video. But I'm like 90% certain that I never talked about it. So anyway, we're gonna, oh Jesus Christ. Oh, I think now the brightness is doing it. Okay. I'm just gonna see if the pocket would auto adjust for it. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, that's a little structure in there. Hey, hold on. We're gonna flip the camera. Watch this. Ready? Yeah. Nice. Fucking sick, man. Look at that shit. And we'll just bring it back. How you doing? That gimbal is that's cool. I'm just scared the day that doesn't work. You know. I have to go old school. Start flipping the camera. Yeah. So this isn't much of like a fort, more or less. I think it's just like a little park. So there's really. Oh, that was disgusting. I had a snot bubble come out. Yeah, there's not really much going on here, so this will really just be for somewhere cool to film, and I think we're gonna bounce here. We're not spending much time here today. Yeah, man. So what I was saying, yeah, man. So I had this fucking date fail the other day, or not the other day. A couple oh fuck, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and so I'll just give you some context to it. So we're talking on Bumble at the time. And so this lady and I we're talking, and we're talking very briefly. You know, there's a day or two where I don't hear anything from her, and I don't get alarmed by that. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it does. I mean, into a sense, but it's not like I'm like, you know, I'm not head over heels for the chick. Like I haven't even met her, so it is what it is. Like you got to get pretty used to that. And but needless to say, we're chatting, and you know, we get onto the topic of photography. As you can probably tell, and I think I've mentioned it before, I am into photography, and I've got my equipment here today. I've got my drone and crap. Oh fuck, this fucking family I've been trying to avoid for the last half an hour. I think they're coming back. That's what I've been doing. I've just been sitting in that building waiting. I've been waiting for them to leave. Oh man, the wind is fucking brutal. Hopefully this little windbreaker I wear here, hopefully this does the trick today. So like I said, we're talking about photography very briefly, and you know, an exchange of Instagram comes on, you know, and I'm usually pretty good with that too. I don't mind. It's only on the real social media I've got, so you know what I mean. I'll hit her up. Why not? And so a couple things allude to me right off the get-go, and I mean, you know, this is just gonna be as blunt as it comes, but like I believe like photography and I like taking pictures are two different things. You know, those are two man, the view's nice too, eh? Look at that shit. But yeah, those are two completely different things. And unfortunately, she kind of fell into the latter. She was definitely more like, hey, I just enjoy whipping out my phone and taking a photo. And a few things gave it away. Like her photos on Instagram, I could kind of look at them and I could tell. And I'm not making this to be like a terrible thing, but I just want to preference the date. I want to lay it up first. There's not much more to say other than this section here. So, yeah, so the pictures you could tell, like you could look at them and you could kind of tell by the quality of the picture. And the second one, she did mention something about stories. And she's like, usually I just post for my stories. And I was like, oh, okay. Right. So what I did is we were going on this hike, and I've been on the hike before, and I also never took a photo on the hike when I went there the first time. I will do that. I will just not see anything I like, and, well, that's it. That's the hike. So I actually ended up bringing my camera along, my Canon, which, you know, it's a Canon 60D. It's a half decent camera, and I just left the other gear. I brought a lens in my pocket, but I brought that camera, and I knew going into it that like, yeah, like her definition of what photography was in mine, I think you know, they were quite mildly different. But I mean, I'm optimistic, and I'm so, you know. Like that's not a big deal to me at all, and I wasn't gonna have like a conversation and like try to explain that to her because I just don't care that much. But I knew in my heart going in, it was like it was gonna be a little awkward. So yeah, so she asked me if I was up for doing something on the weekend, like going on a hike and taking some photos. And I now know that is not a good fucking idea in the winter, and I'll tell you why. So, kind of context to a video I'll hopefully post. And we're going to go back to the bunker. I'm done with that already. Like, that was it. That was boring. Yeah, man. So, yeah, context to the video. Hopefully I post this other video. But I talk about showing up late to a date and how I think that's like a bad thing. This chick was like, I want to say 10 minutes late. Like 10, 15. I think actually it was about 15 minutes late. And she like finally rolled in, and I was like literally at my car, like just about to get in and leave. And she rolled in, and I was like, okay, I can work with that if you're gonna actually fucking show up. So chick rolls up, you know, I'm kind of questioning it at that point anyway. And it's gonna sound really bad, man. She looked a lot older. Like not like, it wasn't like she looked like 40. Like she was 29 on her profile. But like if I actually like physically had to look at her and guess like an age, I would have said like 30s. Like, you know, probably like low to mid 30s easily. So that didn't, I didn't correlate well. And I mean, you know, I'm going to come off as an asshole, man. But trust me, like I said, when you get to a certain point in your life, man, I honestly believe like you kind of just stop caring about that. And you just say shit, man. So that was kind of like, you know, a little questionable. And yeah, so I had to go with that. And so anyway, we start walking, and sure enough, she's just got the phone like in her pocket, and I just knew, like, you know what I mean, that was like the confirmation, that sealed the deal. I was like, okay, cool. Like I was pretty much 100%, but you know, it's just that's like the icing on the cake, just to know. And so we start walking. And the first thing was like I didn't find we really had that much in common, and like the conversation didn't really flow. You know what I mean? And that's what I've always said, like you can talk as much as you want online, and I think that means nothing. And like people will argue me. I have some people that went to my meetup, and they're like married and whatnot, and they first started talking on Facebook, and they think it's the best way to do it, and I'm guaranteeing you it's not, because like you don't, like in my opinion, you don't learn the person. Like you don't see them in person, you don't know what they really look like, you don't know the sound of their voice, like you don't know their mannerisms. You know, there's things that you're gonna miss instantly. And you know, in a sense it's a good thing in my opinion, because we didn't talk a whole lot, right? So like there was enough room to be like, okay, cool, like I have plenty to talk about because I have fucking questions. Like, you know, there should be a very flowing conversation of getting to know somebody if there's like mutual interest, in my opinion. And yeah, I think that was a big miss. And the hike is a problem because we're walking out and it's the winter. Like this is 2 weeks ago. You can see there's snow on either side of me of where I'm walking right now. So that, it's just a common sense of what that's going to mean. It's pretty much going to mean you're going to be on a single trail. Like you're going to be single file, because the snow is only cleared where people are walking, and it's usually just about, you know, like one trail, you know what I mean, of where someone walks. So realistically speaking, which I didn't think about that, is because I offered like a park, which knowingly at a park I could be like at least beside her and see her, and it was weird because like I'd be in front of her or behind her, and like I couldn't get that face-to-face conversation, and I feel that would have been huge. Like it would have been a big game changer, and we didn't get that. You know, I think it's funny talking about these date fails because, like, you know, this one here, I just like, it was like a mutual, I think it was. It was very like it was okay, and like, you know, and like don't get me wrong, there wasn't moments of like it was awkward silence. I know people talk about that all the time, and they'll be like, oh, awkward silence, that's fine, like shouldn't bother you. And I'm like, well, you're on a first date though. My whole opinion on a first date is there should be like, I'm not saying you have to like chit chat every second, but there should be enough to talk about that neither one of you are just dead quiet and like don't know like where to go next with it, you know. And that happened several times, and I was like, oh fuck, right? Like, you know, I just like when it's a little back and forth, right? Like, you know, I don't have to do all the legwork. Oh, we got some people coming, we gotta move. Anyway, so we'll wrap it up. But yeah, so that kind of being said, man, I definitely, like, I didn't hate this person. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? I don't know, I guess I would have hung out with him again. I mean, hell, I think I even offered it at one point. But, like, not more as a date. I think I offered it more as, like, friends, you know? Like, I was like, hey, like, you know, like, hey, you know, if you're around, you know, my friends and I would do some shit, you know, could have you along kind of thing. And so that's what it was. It was more like a third party invitation. So I'm just walking on a ton of ice here. It's just not going well. That's why I'm all over the place right now. So at the end of the date, and this is always my closing notes of a date, right? Is I find that you gotta end it in a couple of ways. I'm just kind of thinking here the right way to say this. Yeah, so I find you gotta end a date in a couple of ways to kind of have it like, I don't know, like successful wouldn't be the right word, but like just to have it end on that note that could lead to the second date. And one of them is the main one I find, you definitely got to mention how it went to some degree. I find just like leaving and not talking about it isn't always the best idea. But if you're just like, hey, like, listen, I had a really great time, you know, but you just make that vocal. I find it just goes a long way, because then you can kind of get, like, usually they would respond and they would probably try to tell you the same thing if you had a good time. If that doesn't happen, if they're just like immediately like, hey, take it easy, and I'm just like, right, like if that's like the first response, like they're just kind of going for the car, it didn't go well. And that's kind of what she was doing. She was kind of going, like, as soon as we got there, it wasn't even like a stop and stand for a second. Usually, like, I'll do that, like if it's by the car, like if we're coming by our cars, I'll usually just hang out for a quick second and be like, hey, listen, you know, good time, yada yada. No, man, she just plunged right to the car, and I just read that right away. Like as soon as she was like going right for it, I just moved on from that. I just called a spade a spade. I was like, yeah, listen, I didn't even say it. I just, you know, right? I really didn't have that crazy of a time. And like, you know, that's why I call it a date fail. If it was a date success and then I still said she got in the car, there's no point. Like, I can clearly read it wasn't going well. So she heads out, I head out. And what I do is I just don't message her on Bumble, right? I just left it, right? And I literally did that. And I do that sometimes, and usually because it's a fail, if not always because it's a fail, because I don't find there's any point in messaging, right? Normally they just disappear. They'll unmatch you. And I left it, it wouldn't have been very long, like 2 days. I left it 2 days, I think. If you're not going to say how the date went, or you're not going to connect, like, at the end of the date and be like, yo, like, you know, hey, listen, I had a really great time. It was awesome meeting you. Sorry this is going long, by the way. I'm desperately just trying to get back to my car without falling. I took a really shitty off trail to avoid those people. So I just personally find, like, if there's no connection afterwards, and that's just where the disaster usually comes from. So, like, if you don't say anything, like if you don't text, if you don't hear back, that's usually the sign it didn't work. But what I did is I just didn't do anything, right? I just didn't say anything. So I, in a sense, I kind of made her do it, right? Which, like, you and I both know that's not going to happen. That she wasn't going to make that move. Women don't normally do that, right? Well, let me tell you something. No, you're right. I never heard from her, and I never messaged her. I waited about like 2 days, which I find would have been long enough. I would say the night of or the next morning. No, nothing. So I just this guy's just sitting there. So I just see ya. And I just moved on. I just unmatched her and deleted her on Instagram because I felt like I had no point. You know, if the first date doesn't go well, you're not even going to be hanging out as friends. So there's no point, in my opinion, to kept her on Instagram. I just want to add them on social media. Waste of time. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. And I don't know, man. That's all I got. I didn't really think that went out further than that. I ranted long enough. All right, that was another date fail. Just for the record, by the way, I'm kind of off the online dating for a little while, so there might not be so many date fails coming up, but I got something juicy for you instead coming, so it's in the works. Peace. Yo, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you want to check out my Instagram here, I do a little bit of photography on the side. Be sure to check it out, nickdaniels65, Instagram.com. You can feel free to message me on there if you got any video ideas. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Take it easy. Cheers.